You're listening to a Frequency Podcast Network production.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Welcome to Friday. My name is Brock.
I'm Dalby.
All right, we're going to have a lot of fun on the podcast today. But before we get into it, some very sad news that we read around like 6 in the morning today. If you haven't heard yet, NHL player Johnny Gaudreau and his brother sadly passed away late last night as a drunk driver struck both him and his brother while they were out on their bikes.
And they were together because they were going to be celebrating today, from what I was reading, was supposed to be Johnny Gaudreau's sister's wedding. So they would all gather. The Gaudreau boys got out last night, were biking around, doing whatever. And unfortunately, allegedly, due to some bad decisions, they're no longer with us.
Now,
and that sucks.
I don't want to start the podcast off to make you guys sad or anything, but it is a long weekend here, so I just wanted to say off the top of the show, be fucking smart.
Yeah.
If you're going to be partying, if you're going to be drinking, you know, we both like to have a good time. No drinking and driving. And also just in general, I mean, I know, and we've made the joke before, like cyclists are super annoying on the road, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, just use your eyes and ears when you're driving, dude.
That's just it. I mean, once you get behind the wheel, you have responsibilities. You've got responsibilities to yourself, to the people in your vehicle, to the other people on the road, and that includes cyclists, pedestrians, people on motorcycles. You are very, very capable of doing significant damage if you're acting like an asshole. And that's what happened here.
Rest in peace to Johnny Gaudreau and, of course, his brother Matthew as well. Just one rule. Don't be a fucking idiot this weekend, all right?
Seems pretty easy, guys.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
NFL player Travis Kelce recently bought a horse named Swift Delivery. It's actually a Canadian horse that's racing at Woodbine Racetrack this weekend.
Forgive my ignorance. Travis Kelce is the football player dating Taylor Swift, correct?
Exactly. So Travis Kelce bought a horse named Swift Delivery. And online I saw a lot of people being like, oh, what a romantic gesture to Taylor. And I was like, is it though? I mean, having a horse named after you, is that really romantic?
I mean, I guess it just depends on the context of it. Like, if you were someone who was known for being particularly fast, having a racing animal named after you might be pretty cool. Unfortunately, I would say that probably the most common comparison between a woman and a horse is the long face thing. And I don't think Taylor necessarily has that, but I've seen that joke.
Well, and my thing is like, you got to hope that they break up before they ever put the horse down.
Oh, that's going to be really awkward.
Feels like an easier thing to maybe name after your ex or something. Like,
Yeah, because you don't want to look your girlfriend in the eye or your significant other in the eye and be like, honey, we got to go put down your horse.
Like if this horse gets hurt this weekend,
right,
it's getting taken out back, right?
Yeah, Travis Kelce puts down Swift this weekend.
Or what if the horse just sucks, too? Like,
that's also, like, I have to assume you do your research before you buy the horse.
Yeah.
You have some knowledge that it is fast, but you're right. If you and the person that the horse is named after are at the track and you're all dressed up and fancy and cheering, and it comes in last place, you look over at your partner and be like, better luck next time.
I just feel like having things named after you is kind of a weird thing. Like, having a road named after you, I've always thought is a bad idea. Like, how many times have you driven through Toronto? I have no idea who Don Valley is or was.
Right, yeah.
But I hate that guy.
Oh, absolutely.
I hate that guy because every time I'm stuck on the DVP, I'm like cursing him.
It was the same living out in Edmonton. One of the worst roads to drive on was Wayne Gretzky Way because the traffic was so bad and the road itself wasn't in great shape. The only benefit was it came out in front of Rexall Place at the time.
The great one, but a terrible road.
Yeah, that's just it. Like, here's this guy that this city adores for his contributions in sports, but now you're like, oh my God, I'd rather be dead than on Gretzky.
Even parks is a big one. Like, most parks are named after people, and I mean, after dark, it's just sketchy stuff happening. People taking dumps and doing drugs. And
you know what the most, like, 50-50 could be good, might be pretty bad thing to have named after you? Child.
child.
You don't know what that kid's going to grow up to be like. People who give their name to their offspring, like Drew Dalby II.
Yeah, but if your kid sucks, then you're like, I technically suck.
But that's the worst part about it, is everybody knows it's your fault that kid sucks.
Yeah, that's the part that sucks, man.
There's a chance that kid goes on to do really good things, but I think the risks outweigh the rewards in naming kids after
like
yourself.
If LeBron James Jr. sucks at basketball, that's got to suck for LeBron James a little bit, right?
That's right. There's nothing. He's going to turn on the highlights on ESPN and hear about what a bad game LeBron James had.
Yeah.
And even if he's retired, he's going to be like, oh.
The worst, though, has got to be having a disease named after you.
Oh, Lou Gehrig's disease?
Lou Gehrig's one of the greatest baseball players of all time, and there's people that probably don't even know. Like, they shouldn't name the disease after you. They should name the cure after you, shouldn't they?
Yeah. That's it. I get that Lou Gehrig was maybe the most famous person, or at least at the time, to have Lou Gehrig's disease. But if you name that after me before I'm even dead, I'm not happy about it.
Doctor comes in, he's like, I have some bad news, but I also have some good news. Your legacy's going to live tarnished forever.
No one will ever forget your name.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
We got friend of the show, Switzer, on the phone. What do you think, man?
Oh, I'd have to say at school, like, that would totally suck.
You know what? In Milton, you know the astronaut Chris Hadfield?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a school named after him, and I know so many kids that just hate Chris Hadfield.
Exactly. What school do you go to? Oh, Josh Switzer School. Yeah, that would be.
See, the thing is like, I mean, some universities and stuff have big reputations, but I mean, a lot of schools have bad reputations.
I would say, like, at best, your average, like, high school, middle school, whatever, is just, it's either okay or it's bad.
Yeah.
No one outside of Harvard and Yale is like, what an amazing high school.
Yeah, I have no idea who Bishop Redding is, but that's what my high school was named after. Screw that guy.
Diamond Jeunesse. Cool name. I don't know who he was or what he did, but that's what my high school in Hay River was named after.
Yeah.
And, it's only known for being purple and made out of mostly sheet metal on the outside, so I'm sure he's pumped about it.
Is there anything that's actually really cool to have named after yourself?
You know what I've always wanted, and maybe this is weird, but I've always wanted a restaurant to have, like, a sandwich named after me.
That's nice. Food or drinks is pretty cool.
Like, I mean, look at the Arnold Palmer in terms of a drink.
Yeah.
Like, that dude's legacy will live. There are people that have no idea Arnold Palmer was a golfer, but they'll walk in and proudly look for an Arnold Palmer either in the alcoholic or non-alcoholic.
Is the
form.
Reuben named after a guy?
I don't know.
That's a good question.
Reuben is a name, not one you hear very often.
Is Sloppy Joe named after a guy? Because I don't know if that one's actually complimentary or not.
I think the problem with that one is in the other part of the name. Yeah, it was probably a guy named Joe who loved a meat sandwich, but he probably wishes it
just
had
a mess of a dude.
A different adjective, you know what I mean?
I mean, I think like Snoop Dogg and some rappers, stuff like that, have weed strains named after them. That'd be pretty tight.
Yeah, that would be pretty neat.
Trophies
too.
as well.
Oh, like the Heisman Trophy?
Larry O'Brien, the Stanley Cup, Conn Smythe.
To be so good at the sport that they were like, future generations will clamor to be as good as you.
Yeah, minus the fact that a bunch of dudes are kissing you. Like, afterwards.
I mean, look, who amongst us wouldn't love to just be held sometimes?
It is 2024, right?
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
The long weekend is upon us, but I always feel bad for bragging because I know there's people that work every time we have a long weekend and then we don't shut up about the long weekend and they're like, well, I'm still working. So I'd like to give a round of applause to anyone who's forced to work this weekend.
Hell yeah. I mean, it's got to be tough because not only are you not getting the long weekend, but you're hearing incessantly all over the place about long weekend plans, long weekend sales. You can't avoid it. And you're just like, you're making the best of it, and that's commendable.
On top of that, I'd also like to give a round of applause to all the people who are being forced to hang out with their spouse's friends this weekend. Ooh. Maybe it's the in-laws, family in general. Round of applause for the people who are doing things that they don't want to do this weekend.
If we're just handing out rounds of applause, I'd like to give one to the people on the other side who were smart enough months ago to book today off to get that legendary 4-day weekend.
That's smart thinking.
I mean, you're just forward planning. You're better than the rest of us.
How about a round of applause for all the designated drivers that are going to be out this weekend?
Putting the work in, keeping the people safe.
I know it's annoying as hell to do, but you guys are honestly like the real MVPs of a long weekend.
Absolutely. I would like to give a round of applause to all the parents out there that made sure to book their kids in one last weekend summer camp type thing so they could have some alone time for the long weekend.
You know what? On top of that, with school starting, how about we give a round of applause to all the teachers who have their last hurrah this weekend before they have to deal with all your crappy kids?
They're going to get wild.
Yeah.
They're going to get just a little bit wild. Yo, shout out and round of applause to Shorts Guy. This is his time to shine because he's not going to let a little nip in the air tell him how to live his life.
And finally, I would like to say, can we get a big round of applause to all the people who own a cottage or a pool for having us come out to your places?
The real MVPs.
Some of you we really love.
Yeah.
Some of you we are just hanging out with you because you have those things.
And I think deep down inside yourself, you know that, and you've come to terms with it. You're okay with it, and that's why we're friends.
How about a round of applause for honesty, you know?
Absolutely.
This is the Brock and Delby Podcast.
I want to ask you this, because you've been in a relationship for a number of years with the same person now.
Coming up on 5, yeah.
Very nice. How much would you say that the two of you share things?
I mean, I guess it depends on what you're asking.
Well, I guess common household things. Like, is there ever a time where you would maybe wear one of Courtney's rings just as jewelry, just as a fun thing to wear
my
around?
fingers are way too fat.
Yeah, that's interesting. I just found this article here that was talking about it. It's from a jewelry company in the UK, talking about surveying couples and the things that they'll share back and forth. And it was saying 1 in 4 guys surveyed will just throw on their partner's rings just as something to wear every now and again. 15% said that they would throw on their significant others necklaces or chains, that sort of thing.
Okay.
And go out. So I thought that was interesting. I don't know too many guys.
I've never seen a dude wear his girl's jewelry before.
Right. I've never seen that.
Not knocking it, but I've just never seen it.
37% said that they share toothbrushes.
That's a no for me, dog.
Yep, that's where I wanted to get with this. This survey starts with have you ever worn your partner's jewelry? And then dives right into, have you ever stuffed your partner's toothbrush in your mouth? And 37% of the couples that were surveyed were like, yep.
I mean, I'd do anything for love, but I won't do that. I've actually accidentally done it before, but I don't know. I mean, we kiss and stuff, but that just feels gross.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, because you're right. When you're in an intimate relationship, sharing a toothbrush at the end of the day doesn't necessarily seem like the worst idea, but it's just something about it being a cleaning utensil. Its whole purpose is to get into your mouth.
It's not the worst place your mouth has been, that's for sure. But me and Courtney even have our own toothpaste, you know? She's got sensitive teeth, I don't, so she's got the Sensodyne, whatever, right?
I guess if I found a couple and they were like, oh yeah, we just have one toothbrush in the bathroom.
I'm just going to assume times are tough. I don't know.
That's just it. I don't know. The article in the survey kind of imply that this is a real bond between the couple. There's a real trust and real love between the two of them. And I'm the same as you. I would just be like, I will go buy you a toothbrush if things are bad.
Yeah.
If you can't afford a second Oral-B,
we
can make this
happen.
the
human mouth is just disgusting.
That's just it. I honestly don't know. We do so much between flossing and water picks and toothbrushes and mouthwash and all these gums and stuff like that just to try and keep this thing at bay. The idea that it would be shh, all right, your turn.
I think it's got to be a worst case scenario thing. If you're at a hotel and then say Courtney brought her toothbrush and I didn't, and they don't have anything downstairs in the lobby, I'll do it then. But to share it every day, I don't know. Yeah,
the other part of the survey, again, it goes from do you share jewelry? Do you share toothbrushes? And then it says that 54% share socks.
Socks? I mean, like, I've taken, like, some of her socks if it's a laundry day or something. Yeah, that's not a big deal.
That's just it. It's like jewelry. I mean, listen, if you both fit the stuff, absolutely share it.
Is
socks?
it used socks or is it new socks?
Well, I mean, it's probably, like, socks that have been worn, been washed back into the
Okay, that's
dresser.
fine. I thought you, like, I was like, well, if it's like, hey, take the socks off of my feet. Then
Sharing
like,
them in a day. Imagine the two of you are, like, sitting on the couch, you're watching a movie, you, for some reason, are barefoot. You see something, I gotta go take the trash down to the end of the driveway. Just reach down, take her socks off.
What's that saying?
On.
I give you the shirt off my back. I'm going to start saying I'll give you the socks off of my feet.
Wow, that's a caring man right there.
Yeah.
762-555. 37%, 1 in 3, more than 1 in 3, say they share a toothbrush with their significant other. Do we have any of those people in the Dirty 530?
I feel like 9 out of 10 dentists probably wouldn't approve, but
I think even the 10th dentist is like, just go buy another one.
The Brock and Dobby Podcast.
we got someone on the phone. I wanted you to save your story because you started telling it to us and we were dying. Explain to the rest of the classroom what you were just telling us.
So a couple older gentlemen, they're passed right now, but when one of them had to come to Sudbury for an appointment, they would share dentures.
They're like the teeth from their mouth.
The actual teeth. One's got to come to a doctor's appointment, he'd get the teeth. Next week, the other one comes to the doctor's appointment, he gets the teeth. And I actually think there's another fella in the town, he would borrow the teeth also, not related.
Get out of here, man. Are you being dead serious right now?
100%. I could put you in touch with people that will validate the story.
I just love the idea that, like, the way that, like, you and Courtney will negotiate who needs the car on any given day.
Yeah.
That these two were doing the same thing.
The other guys are just gumming at home.
I got a big dinner tonight. I need the teeth.
You got a hot date in town. I need the teeth. Got to go.
How did you realize that this was a thing?
Oh, they'd tell you about it. Oh, it's my turn to go to town. Give me the teeth, Hector.
They were open about it.
Oh, yeah. Small town, right? They got not too much going on. All quiet and not a lot of money.
I mean, yeah, I was going to say, in this economy.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do.
Oh, yeah. You got to share what you got to share.
Yeah, I mean, we were all taught in kindergarten sharing is caring, I guess, right?
The Brock and Dobby Podcast.
The Brock and Dobby Podcast.
Admittedly, a lot of you might not be paying attention when we do it, but we do often do the weather here on the show. And for us, we don't have any fancy Doppler equipment or anything. We just look at Environment Canada.
If we're wrong, then blame them.
That's exactly it. We just tell you what we're told.
Blame the government.
But there is all kinds of different ways that people tell the weather, from big scientific machines and patterns and stuff like that to the Farmer's Almanac, which is sort of a old book of things of, well, farmers used to think this was true, and some of it still holds up today.
Did the Farmer's Almanac release their prediction that we're going to have winter again?
Yes.
That's my favorite thing every year. They're like, well, you're going to get snow.
Winter is coming, according to the Farmer's Almanac, and they've also released a list of things that maybe we need to be on the lookout for the next month or so to find out if it's going to be a particularly harsh winter.
Okay.
Turns out they have 15 signs that you will see to learn that winter will be harsher than it normally is. And some of it is very normal, right? Geese and ducks fly south maybe a little bit earlier than normal. You go,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, I guess they know what's up. Winter could be
Making
coming.
their trip to Florida.
C2 woodpeckers sharing a tree. That's kind of unusual behavior. A lot of fog, especially heavy fog during August, can traditionally be an indicator that winter is going to be tough. But also they have things like thicker than normal corn husks mean that winter is going to be a tough one this year.
All right. So like corn mazes and stuff going to be really nice this year?
If you want to know if we're going to have a hard winter or not, you got to go down to the grocery store and start measuring the thickness of the husks on the corn. Also, things like an abundance of acorns. More than normal amount of acorns, maybe out on your lawn, out on the roads.
That little guy from Ice Age is going to love that.
Just walking around counting acorns to find out if you're going to need to buy a snowblower or not this year is fascinating to me.
Dude, if some guy came up to you and was like, look at all these acorns, it's going to snow, you'd be like, get out of here, man.
All right, mysterious traveler, why don't you head back on your way? Frequent halos or rings around the sun. That's right. The Farmer's Almanac recommends that every now and again you just stare at the sun to see if winter's going to be worse than it normally is.
Hey, man, if you go blind, then at least you don't have to see the winter.
Thick hair on the nape of a cow's neck is apparently an indicator that winter is going to be a rough one.
So, I mean, this is all stuff that probably just pertains to farmers specifically, but I love the idea of just, like, seeing a cow and, like, pulling over on the side of the road and being like...
yeah, guys,
no
there's
way.
a cow by that fence. Go check its hair.
The measuring tape and everything out.
And then the last one is actually mice chewing furiously to get into your home. Now, that one actually does make sense. If the mice feel that the winter is going to be a tough one.
It's too cold, yeah.
They're like panicking to get into your house. So if you hear any furious chewing in the next month or so, you might want to go buy yourself some new sorrels.
Or get some mouse traps. Or seal up the cracks in your foundation.
Or just keep paying attention to people who have satellites and radars and stuff like that, and they'll tell you when the snow is coming.
Or burn your house down.
Oh, well, I mean, that will help
Do
with
that.
the snow as well. If you start a big bonfire with your entire home, then yeah, you'll stay nice and warm.
Or, hear me out, and I know this may sound crazy to some people. If you want to know that winter is coming,
Yeah.
look out your damn window.
That's always an option.
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Ed's word of the day.
Let's see what he's got.
Good morning. Now today, great. Exorbitant. Exorbitant. Yeah. It's EXORBITANT. Exorbitant. And it's not within the scope of the law. Exceeding the customary or appropriate limits in intensity, quality, amount, or size. That would describe my garden if they didn't legalize weed. Anyways, that's about it. Have a great one. Cheers her up.
All right. Let's verify the pronunciation of it.
Yeah.
Exorbitant.
Exorbitant. That's what I thought. Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty close. Overpronounced, if anything.
Yeah.
Exorbitant.
So basically, not coming in within the scope of the law or anything that's like bigger in size or price, quality, quantity.
I use exorbitant. Like, I really do like that as a word. It just really, to me, means it's a lot of something. It's an abundance of something. It is almost too much of something.
Yeah.
Like, if you were to decide this weekend you wanted to listen to all 120 episodes of the Brock and Dalby podcast, that would be an exorbitant amount.
Yeah. Could you say that Snoop Dogg gets absorbently high?
Oh, absolutely.
Did you use it like that?
Does he anymore? Or does he have too much of a tolerance? He has to smoke an exorbitant amount to get moderately high.
Spark a Dutchie this weekend and say you're getting exorbitant.
Yeah. And I know, listen, a lot of you are going to be going to the camps, to the cottages, to the cabins, wherever it is that you find yourself this weekend. And you're probably bringing an exorbitantly sized cooler full of things. And that's great.
You know what? If you've maybe been feeling bad about your weight lately, you're not getting fat. You're getting exorbitant.
Brother, I've been exorbitant. I've been exorbitant for a long time.
Exorbitant. Use it wherever you can this weekend, all right?
For more Brock and Dalby, tune in weekday mornings 5:30 to 9.
The Brock and Dalby podcast is brought to you by badshop.ca, the Brock and Dalby merch store. With all proceeds going to the Canadian Cancer Society.